Hello and welcome. In this video, we will be covering the intricate modeling of a steel portal frame in Revit. Feel free to practice and follow along with the project files provided through the link in the description of the video. I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. Just coming over here to new, and I'll browse and pick this specific templates for this specific tutorial. This here. And if you don't have this, you can use any other suitable structural templates. It's quite fine. So just go over here and open it up. Then click OK to load the project. Alright, so once I've loaded the project, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly model my grid lines. Welcome to the Structures tab. I'll click on the datum group here. And I'm going to be drawing 3 grid lines in this direction. So I'll click here first, one in this direction. I'll make another one at exactly 7,500 mm from that direction, and another 7,500 in this direction. There we go. So in this direction, I'm going to be making about 6 grid lines. So I'll start from here, and I want to label this differently. So just press escape, escape again, select this, change this to A. And I'll just come back and click on grid, and I'm going to be spacing these grid lines at exactly 6 meters apart. So I could just come here and click on the pick lines tool. I'll set this to an offset of 6,000. That's fine. Then I'll start from here. So I'll offset this 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need just one more here. There we go. So once I'm done, I'm just going to press escape. And to modify them or to drag the extents, I just click on one of the grid lines. You can see it's locked, so the others will move as well with them. So I just click and drag it above here, and that's perfectly fine. All right, so I want to move all the grid lines at once, so I can select one, can type SV, and then I can click and drag them all together and place them somewhat in the center of the project. Now I'm going to go ahead and set up my levels. I'll open any default elevation views that come with the project, for instance the south view here, and this comes with 2 levels by default. I'm going to create a third one. Before I do that, I'm going to adjust the ones we already have. So here where we have 3, I'll select this, and I'll change the elevation here to 6,000. Just do that. And then for level 1, I'll leave it at 0. Then I need just one more below here. So I can come to the Structures tab again. You can click on level. And I'm just going to give this one an offset of 2.5 or 2,500. And I'll come here and click on create plan view, because I want to create a plan view when I draw this. So I'll come here, click. And you can see it goes in the upward direction. So I'll just press escape. I'll just use pick lines instead, and then I'll just come and I'll just go ahead and click to place that level. There we go. So this new level here, I'll just press escape, then I'll change this here to level 0, and I want to rename the corresponding views. I'll click on yes. That's perfectly fine. Then I'll click on the grid lines and adjust them so they go just above. And I'm going to do that for the opposite view, so the west view here. And I'll drag the extents firstly for the levels, just drag them a bit to the side so it covers the whole region. Then I'll do the same thing for the grid lines so we can see them on each of the respective plans. All right. So we've adjusted for the south view. So if you move to the north view as well, you see those also have been affected. Now I'm going to go ahead and model the columns. So to do that, I can type the shortcut CL, or I can just come to the Structures tab and select columns from here. And I'm going to be using the family UB Universal Beams column and the type 457152 by 52. So it's a UB section. Okay, just come back here and make sure that it's a vertical column. Right now I'm on level 2 and I'm modeling to a depth all the way to level 1. All right, So I'm only going to place our two intersections, A1 and A3. So I'm going to move inside here and then just come and then click on this intersection to place that column. And I'll come over here and place another column as well. Once I'm done, I press escape twice. So I'm just going to change this detail over here to fine, and I'll click on this column here, and I want to change the orientation to fall on this plane. So I'll select this column, hold down the Control key, select this column as well, and I can press spacebar at the same time to change the orientation. All right, I'm going to go ahead and model the rafters as well. So to do that, first of all, I'm going to go to an elevation view. South is perfect. And in the south view, I'm going to model two reference planes, which are going to help me in modeling my rafters. I'll just go ahead and click on these grid lines, move them up a bit. Then I'll go to the structures tab, and over here you see the option here for reference planes. So I'm just going to select reference planes. I'll come to this intersection here and I'll click, and I want to place a reference plane at an angle of 15 degrees. So that will guide us in modeling our beams. So just go here and I'll make sure that it snaps to 15 degrees. Then just move all the way to this point here. Then I'll place my first reference plane here. There we go. So I'll select this reference plane here. I can type DM, that is to mirror along an axis. I'll click here, move upwards, then click to place another reference plane. So I'll select this first reference plane here, and we want to make sure that we label all our reference planes to really help us a lot when we start modeling. So I'll go to call this rafter 1, press enter, select this, I'll call this rafter 2, press enter. So I'm going to model the rafters along this reference plane, and for me to do that, I'm just going to come back to the structures tab, or I can type BM, that is the shortcut for beam 2. And you see, because right now on the elevation view is asking us to pick a plane which we want to draw it about. So where we have the work plane, I'm going to change this here to rafter 1, and then I'll click OK. And it's still asking us to go ahead and pick a plan view. So I'll switch over to level 2 here. I'll select level 2 and open up the view. And once I'm in that view, I'm just going to first of all change this here to I'm going to use the universal beams family type. I'm going to use 457,152 by 67. That section is fine. And make sure that your placement plane is set here to rafter 1, very important. And here, just set here to line. I'll come to this first intersection here. I'll click, then I'll move all the way to this point, and then I just want to make sure that I place it just after the first grid line, or rather the second grid line. So I come here and click. There we go. So we created one rafter here. I'll press escape. Then I want to go ahead and change this reference plane here to rafter 2. Make sure that the line is selected. Make sure it's still the same beam type. I'll come over here to this intersection, click. Then I'll come here and then just make sure it passes that grid line there. There we go. Once I'm done, I just press escape. Press escape again. Now if I go back to this view, you can now see that these two rafters are now intersecting each other, but we want to make sure that they are trimmed. So what I'll do is that I can go ahead and use my trim tool, TR. I'll select the first rafter, then select the second rafter to make sure that they are trimmed together. So we're going to go ahead and model the stop column or the pedestal. That's what the columns will attach to over here at the base. I'll switch over here to level 1, plan view. And I'll turn on my column tool, CL. And I'm going to pick this concrete rectangular column family. 600 by 750 mm is fine. And I'm going to make sure I'm using a vertical column and set this to a depth all the way to level 0. So that has a total length of 2005. Before I place the column, I want to set a suitable material so I don't do this at the end of the day. So I'll come here, click on this 3-dot icon to open the material browser. I'll search here for C3037, that is the material I'm going to be using. just go over here and include this in the document. If you don't see this, just go over here and expand the material libraries here, and I can import this material into the project. Just go ahead and click OK. There we go. So I'm going to place it at this intersection, so where we have A1, I'll zoom in a bit, and then I'll press spacebar twice to change the orientation. I'll place one instance here, then I'll come over here and click to place another instance. There we go. So I'll press escape. So if you've been following, you notice we just placed this element at this long grid line A, so we don't have them all the way from B to F. I'll go over here to the view tab and create a default 3D view, so we see what we're doing. So I'm going to model them, place them all the way on this other grid line. So first of all, I'll change this detail level here to fine, and I'll change this view model view here to hidden line, so I can see them much better. I'm going to be selecting specific elements. I'll hold down the control key to select them. So I'm selecting the stop columns, the columns themselves, the rafters, and we should have 6 common elements in total. In this view, I'm going to click on the top view over here, and I'm going to be copying from this particular point here, or this reference point, that's A. So I'll type CO, that's a shortcut for copy. I'll go over here and click at this point, that's the base point, and make sure that you have multiple copy options turned on. So I'll click on this endpoint, then place another instance here, place another instance here, place another instance here, till we get all the way to F. There we go. I'll press escape twice to exit, and then I can orbit around, and you can see we have the skeleton of our portal frame. Now we're going to go ahead and model the structural girts. Before I do that, I want to load 2 structural framing sections into the project. Just come over here to the insert tab. I'll click on load family, and you need to have a contents library to be able to access this. So I'm using the UK contents library, and I'm just going to scroll down and look for structural framing. We're working with steel members, structural steel members. I'll open up the British standard folder, and I'm going to select this family here, this PFC parallel flanged channels. Click on open, and you see a bunch of types over here. I'm just going to bring in one type. I'm going to select the 100 by 50 times 10, then I'll click OK. So that brings that family into the project. I'm going to load another family as well, which we'll be using. I'll click on load family again, and I'm just going to select the L equal leg angles, this family here. I'm just going to click OK, and I'm going to select the 70 by 70 by 7 section type here, this one. So I'll go over here and click OK, and we have them loaded into the project, so we could go ahead and work with that. So I want to model Purlins along the rafters here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the level 2 plan view, and first thing you notice is that we can't see the full rafter in this view, and the reason for that is because of the view range. So to quickly explain, I'll just go over here and open up the building elevation. You can see this is where we have level 2, and let's go ahead and see where the apex of the rafter is. So if I come over here to the annotate tab and I click on the spots elevation, you can select any type of your choice. You can see at this point here, just want to make sure it's the exact spot. So that's about 8.01 meters. So I'm just going to click here and just place this so we can always reference later, and just going to press escape. And if I come back here to level 2, I have to make sure that the view range covers that height. So that is about 2 meters from this level here. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to come over here to the properties dialog box. Just going to scroll down under extents, we see view range. I'm going to give this a top of 3000, and I'll give it a cut plane of about 2.7. That way we should be able to see the full rafters. All right, so to model the Purlins, I'm just going to come over here to the structures tab. I'm going to select the beam systems tool. The shortcut is BS, so just type BS. So you can see that we need to set a work plane to use it, and that's especially if we've already set a previous work plane in a different view. So I'm going to close this up. So we have this set. Before we go ahead and place our beam system, we're just going to go over here and set our layout rule. So I want to leave it at fixed distance. I'm going to give it a spacing of 900, and I'm going to set my beam type to use the PFC channel that we just imported. There we go. And you can see this is the work plane that is currently using, which is rafter 2. Rafter 2 falls in this direction. I want to start with rafter 1, so I can come over here and click here on set. I'll click set work plane. I'll go over here and switch here to rafter 1, and then click OK. So under where we have the option to create the boundary, I'll click and change it here to rectangle. I'll come over here to this intersection, and then I come and stop it exactly where I have the beam ends here. So as I am modeling it, I'm modeling it at the center at this point here, but at the ends I'm modeling it where it touches the beams. All right, and we want the direction to be like this. So I'll come to beam direction, make sure it's set here to pick lines, and then click here to switch it to this direction. There we go. So if I go ahead and click on finish, it's going to go ahead and place the sections. Those are the Purlins that we'll be using. If I come to the 3D view, we can see them as they are. The only issue now is that they are placed in the wrong orientation, so we want them to be upstand based on how it was modeled. So I'm just going to select one of them, and now type SV to select all visible in view. And we see we have 9 in total, spaced at 900 mm. I'm going to come here and change the Z justification from top to bottom. Click on apply, and there we go. So this is how we want to see it. If I go to the south view, we can now see the Purlins have been placed in the right direction. So I'll do the same thing as well. Come over to level 2, and instead of modeling in this direction, I can just select this beam system here. I'll just type DM to mirror along an axis. I'll click here and click here and to place it. So if I go to the south view, you notice that it's been placed, but the issue here is that they are facing the same direction. We don't want that. So what we could do is that we can select all these beams here. So I can just make a selection over the beams. There we go, and I can right click on it, and then you see the option to flip structural framing ends, so it flips to the other direction. Now after mirroring, it's important that we go ahead and associate the new beam system with a work plane. So we have this rafter 2 work plane here. You'll notice that if I come back to level 2 and I click on this beam system, it doesn't have an associated work plane, and that's because we mirrored it to another direction. So with that beam system selected, we can come here to edit work plane, just click on the drop down, and then we'll click on edit work plane. So we're just going to set it here to a new work plane, and this is the only work plane that it can comfortably fall on, which is rafter 2. So we click OK. There we go. So why is that important? For instance, if I come back here into the south view and I decide to move this work plane up a bit, you can see that the beam that was associated with the work plane as well as the Purlins are moving with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and undo to go back to where we were. All right, so now that we've modeled the rafters, let's go ahead and place them in the other direction. So we do have some tags that came with it when we modeled, so I'll just select one of it. I'll type SV, and then just select all instances visible in view, and just press delete. And I'm going to select this one here and hold down the control key, select the other beam system. Make sure you select the beam system and not the structural framing, the beams themselves. So I have 2 structural beam systems selected. I'm just going to type CO for copy. I'll copy from this base point here. Click here on this endpoint, then make a copy to this direction. There we go. Just going to press escape. Now for this new beam system, I'm just going to select it. I'm going to edit the boundary, and I want this one to snap to the center of the grid line and not the edges of the beam, so they don't clash. So I'm just going to use my alignment tool, AL, and then I'll click here and align this line to this. And then when we're done, just go ahead and click on finish. I'll do the same thing as well to this other direction. I'll click on edit boundary, Then we have AL. Just click here, click here. There we go. Alright, great. So now we can go ahead and copy. So just going to hold down the control key, select the two of them. Then I'll just type CO again to copy. Going to place one here. And then for the last one, I'm just going to select the two again, and then just going to copy. All right. But this, I want it to touch the edge of the beam. So just going to click on edit boundary. AL. There we go. Oops, not here. Sorry. The edge of the beam. Great. Go ahead and finish that. We'll do the same thing as well here. Edit boundary. L. There we go. Now it may seem like the beam doesn't extend towards the edge, but its actual framing does actually. So we'll see that when we place the connections later on. If we go to the 3D view, we can see that we've placed all our purlins. Now we're going to model the girts, commonly known as the side rails. So I'm going to open up the west or east view. I'm using the west in this case here. And I'm going to zoom in towards where we have A and B. So this span here, and that's where we're going to have our side rails in both directions. But to model the side rails, the first thing I want to do is I want to come back into the south view. I'm going to place a reference plane here. So the shortcut for reference plane by now is RP rather. So RP. So I'm just going to go to this point, and I want to make sure it's at the edge of the column face. I'm just going to click and then just pan upwards a bit. There we go. Now just press escape, select the reference plane. Just want to drag this down a bit so I can always snap to it. Then I'll click here to rename it. I'll call this here Girts 1. There we go. All right, so this is the reference plane we're going to be using to model our side rails in this direction. So if I come back to the 3D view, I'm going to come back and select BS, which is beam system. And the reason why I did this is because if I try and type or use the beam system in an elevation view, it will prompt me to go to a view or another view. So 3D view is the best place to start. Okay, so in this 3D view, I'm going to come here and set the work plane from here before going back to the south view or west view rather. If I come here and click on set, I'll click on set work plane, and I'll switch this work plane here to Girts 1, and then I'll click OK. Now with the beam system tool still active, I'm going to come back here to the west view, and now I can select the region where I want to have my side rails. So I'll click here, and rather let me start with a rectangle. So I'll click on this rectangle, click on this intersection, then I'll come over here to this point here, then click again. So we want our side rails to move in this direction. So let's set the rules. We want this to be spaced at 900, that's fine. For the beam type, let's leave it as the PFC section type as well. So once you're done, just go ahead and click on finish, and you can see we have our side rails. They've been modeled. If we come to the 3D view, we can see how they've been modeled. So just going to select this and just orbit around. All right. So we do have an issue where they are not actually placed in the direction where we want them to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a selection over the side rails that we need. I'll hold down the shift key and select them. All right, and I'm going to give them a cross section rotation. Those are 7 of them in number. I'm going to set it here to 90 degrees. Click on apply, and just like this, they're in the right direction, but we need them to stay flat on our columns. So to see that properly, I'm going to come here to the south view, and we want to measure the distance we need to offset them by. So I'll first of all change this visual style here to wireframe so we can see it better. And let's do a quick measurement. So under the modify tab, you can just access the distance tool. So I want to make a measure from this endpoint here to the edge. That's about 17 mm. All right, so we know that's 17 mm. So I'm just going to select the beams while holding down the control key. We have 7 of them in total. All right, and over here you see this option for Z offset value. So I'm just going to come here and put here 17. If I click on apply, oops, not here, it's not Z offset value, rather that's Y offset value instead. So I'll put here 17. No, minus 17. That should be in the other direction. There we go. All right, great. Minus 17. So you can see they stay flat now. And apart from that, we also want to change their placement plane, their Z justification rather. So I'm going to set it here to center. Click on apply. Now the reason for this is that when I go ahead and mirror it to this other direction, they fall on the same plane as well. So if I come to the 3D view, we see the beam system. It's easier to select this from here. I'll select the beam system, then I'll come back here into the south view. Then I'll just type DM to mirror. I'll select this point, then come here, click to make a mirror to this other direction. There we go. If I come back here into the 3D view, we can see we have a beam system in this other direction as well. And since they are both justified at the center, you see that it's, if I come to the, let's say, west view, for instance, they fall on the same plane. Okay. All right, now because we mirrored it, we need to set a reference plane for this. You can see this is not associated. So I'm going to come back here into the south view. I'll select this reference plane that we created earlier on, EM again, then just mirror to this other direction. We see this is already labeled as Girts 2. That's perfect. So I'll come back to the 3D view, select this beam system. I'll come here and click on edit work plane, and I'll set it here to Girts 2. All right, great. All right, so we have our Girts in place. So I'm just going to select these two Girts, and I'll hold down the Control key, select this and this. So I can go to the west view and I can copy them from here. Okay, select these base points to make a copy. All right, so I'll first stop here. And what I want to do is that I want to make sure that this here goes all the way to the end. So just like we did for the rafters. So I just select this here, click on edit boundary. And I can either use the align tool or just drag it till it reaches the end. Reaching the end is fine. So we need to do that in the other direction as well. So if I go back to the 3D view, we can see we did that for this. So I'll select this one here. I can click on edit boundary as well. And if I go to the west view, I can also modify it. There we go. Great. Okay, good. So I want to do the same thing as well. Just make a copy into this direction. So a good trick is that I can just select those two beam systems. Those two as I have here. If I come back here into the west view, I'll just go ahead and copy them from that midpoint here. And then I'll just place them here since they're the same length. Just press escape. If I select one of the beam systems, you can see it's already directly at the center, so no need to modify them. All right, so we're going to go ahead and model the braces for the portal frame, and they're going to be along where we have the columns and where we have the rafters. The rafters to be directly at the brace, or rather the bay area, and then the columns to be at the center of the column. So that's where we have the flange. All right, so we need reference planes to model this. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up the south view. And in the south view here, I'm just going to borrow this existing one here, this rafter one. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. So just copy. And I don't really need any specific base points. I'm just going to go ahead and click. And then just specify a distance of 80, which is fine. All right, great. Just press escape. And this new reference plane, I'm going to change it here to rafter brace. I'm going to call this rafter brace 1. There we go. You need to be very specific. And I'm going to mirror another one to this side here. So DM, just going to click here, come over to this direction. You can see this is already automatically labeled as rafter brace 2. So this is what we use as reference to model our first brace. Now that we have that, I'm going to switch over to level 2. And in level 2, this is the region where we want to brace our rafter. the first rafter. And we do have some tags from the side rails earlier on, so I'll just select this, right click, select all instances visible in view. We aren't detailing yet, so I'll just delete this. And I'm going to come to the structures tab, and I'm going to click on the beam tool. And under the beam tool, I'm going to set the placement plane here to rafter brace 1. We always want to be very specific. And then for structural usage, I'm going to set this here to order. For now, it's not going to be a primary or secondary, it's just going to be mostly for bracing. And once you've done that, I'll set this here to the L equal leg angles family type. And this we have 70 by 70 by 7. That's the type we're using. And just going to select this option to draw. And I want to model in this direction. So ideally, you would feel like you want to start, modeling from this endpoint and then go over here to this endpoint, so that you would soon realize that it might give you an headache when you want to start placing the connection. So here's a good tip. I'm just going to press escape. I want to start it exactly just far away from the column, just a bit away from the center from where we have the column, so along the flange. We click here, and because if it's too close, it's to clash, at this point here, and you can't place a connection there properly. So I'm just going to place it a little bit away like this. Zoom out here, and over here you don't place it at the center because we are going to be having a connection here as well. So, and we would have some plates in between. So I'm going to stop it somewhere around here, just like this. That's fine. Great. So I'll just go ahead and press escape. And then if you go into the 3D view, you can see how that brace has been created. Just going to press escape. I'll select this and I'll orbit around, and you can see exactly how it's been placed. If you were too close, for instance, you see it would clash with this column here. So this is perfectly fine. Going back here into level 2, with this one selected, I'm just going to go ahead and type my my mirror tool. That's the M. And I want to make sure that it is where we have the center of the first brace. So I'll come here, click on that midpoint. Now I want to move in this direction. So go ahead and click again. And there we've placed that brace. All right. So as I'm modeling, I want to make sure that, it's not clashing at all. So looking very carefully, you can see, great. This is not at the center of the beam. That's fine. I also want to check this one as well. It's not at the center of the beam as well. Very, very important, because we are going to be having a connection that connects the two rafters together at that point. Over here as well, I want to make sure that it's not clashing with the column. All right, great. So that's fine. All right. So we have the two braces being modeled. The first one here, you can see rafter brace 1. The second one here, rafter brace 2. All right, great. Now with those two selected, I'm just going to select both of them, and I'll type HI to isolate them. And what I want to do is I want to split them at this point, because we want to place a gusset plate which will connect all of them together. Alone, one of them might be about, that's, if we check the properties, about 9.8 meters, and it's very hard to find stock lengths, more than 7.5 or 6 meters in the market. So we're going to split it. So to split it, I'm going to type SL, then just come here, split the frame, type SL again, split the frame. There we go. And I'll type TR to trim the edges. So I'll come here, click to trim. Then I'll click here to trim the edges. So there we go. We have something like this. All right. So just want to make sure that they are modeled in a way that we can place a connection to join them properly. All right, great. This is fine. So I'm just going to end this isolation, and we have our brace in place. So I want to do that in the other direction. So I'll select this 4, holding down the control key. There we go. And I'll come to the south view, and I'm going to mirror along this axis. So just going to type DM again, click here, move upwards in this direction. There we go. So you notice these ones don't have an associated work plane. So while they are still selected, you can see in the 3D view they are still selected. I'll just come here to edit work plane, and set it here to rafter brace. So you can see this are the only two work planes that it can be associated with. All right, great. Now we model the column brace, and to do that we need to model the reference plane at which is going to be drawn. So I'll open up the south view, and going to activate my reference plane tool. Just click here and then go all the way to the top. Just press the tab key so I can select it because it aligns with the grid line 1. And then I'll rename it here to column brace 1. There we go. Then I'll just mirror it to the other direction. And this is automatically labeled as column brace 2. Once we've done that, open up the west or east view, any of your choice. And we're going to model it along this span that's between A and B, where we have our bracing for the rafters. I'll come over here to the structures tab and then click on beam. And before I forget, I'm going to change the structural usage here to order because it's a brace. And then the placement plane, I'm going to associate it to I'm going to use column brace 1. Now in case it does ask you to pick a plane, all you could do is you could just go into this option here that's under the structures tab. It will show you something like this. If it prompts, you just go ahead and select the reference plane of column brace 1. But if it doesn't, just from here set the reference plane to column brace 1. Okay, so it's going to be set here to order. There we go. And I'm going to be using this particular section, that's the 70-77 equal angle, and I'm going to start over here at a distance of about 800 from this point here, and I'll come to this point here at about 43 degrees is fine for me. Then I'll just go ahead and click. There we go. Just press escape. I'll select this first one here, then I'll just mirror it. Oops, mirror it around this center here, just like this. All right, so I want to split it as well because alone one of them might be about 7.9 meters. That's about 8 meters long. I'm going to split them, so I'll just type SL to split. So I'll split both of them, then I'll just trim them. So this trims to this trims to this as well. All right, so we could go ahead and look at it in the 3D view. So we have the column brace here modeled correctly. Let's select the 4 braces while holding down the control key, just like this. And I'm going to go to the south view and I'm going to mirror them to this axis we have over here. So just going to type my DM into the axis. There we go. All right, great. So if you go to the 3D view, you can see we've modeled the column brace as well. All right. Okay, now we're going to select all the braces all together and then we'll copy them to the spans where they're meant to be. So I'll hold down my control key. I'll select this 4 here. I'll select this one as well. And select this. And at this point in the project, the 70 by 70 by 7 are the only ones we've modeled so far. I could as well just type SV, so it selects them. So we should have 16 in total. I'll come to the west view here. We can see the element selected. I'll just go over here and copy. Select B as the base point here. Then I'll come here and place at D to C span. And then I'll place one at F to E span. All right. So if I go to the 3D view, you can see we've placed our bracing on our portal frame. Now let's place the connections. I'm going to come to the structures tab, just click on the connection tool, and you see we don't have any loaded connections rather in the project. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back here to the structures tab, then click on this connection settings and load some in. So first one I want is a beam end to end connection. That's an apex hunch connection. I'll add that in. Then I want a column to beam connection. I'm going to be using this knee frame connection with bolts and a hunch profile. And then I'm going to go ahead and select a base plate connection. This one is fine, and then add that in. We're also going to load some other connections in as we go on. So let's start over here from the south. So we want to add a connection between our 2 rafters here. So where we have the connection tool already active, I'm just going to change this here to apex hunch. and I'll hold down the control key, select the first rafter, select the second rafter, and then press enter. And it's going to do some calculations in the background and then place the connection. So it's going to remove that sports elevation that we placed earlier on. That's why we have this warning. Just going to go ahead and click on delete dimension, and you can see we have placed our apex hunch connection. For this tutorial, we're not going to detail it, we're just placing it here. So we have a finished portal frame design. We're going to place a knee frame connection over here as well, and likewise over here. So I'm going to come back here and click on connection. I'll switch over here to the knee frame connection type, hold down the control key, select the column, then the rafter, then press enter. Then just wait for it to calculate. There we go. Then just come back, click on connection again, come over here, select the column, select the rafter, and then press enter, and we have created it. Then we're going to add a connection between our column and our stop column here. So come back here, click on connection, switch to base plates, and then hold down control key, select the column, the stop column, then press enter, and it's going to generate our base plate connection. So I'll do the same thing here as well. Just press enter to bring up the connection tool. That was the last tool that we used. So hold down the control key, select two of them, press enter, then we've placed the base plate connection there. We're going to place the bracing connection now. So where we have this 4L angles here, we're going to add a brace connection. So just going to open the connection library again. I'll switch here to general bracing, and I'm going to import two bracing connection types. So the first one here is going to be this gusset plates at one diagonal here. I'll include that, and then the second is going to be 4 diagonals middle gusset plates. So add those two in. There we go. Okay, so I'll click on connection. I'll switch here to the 4 diagonal middle gusset plates, and while holding down the control key, I'll select this 4 brace sections and then press enter, and I wait for it to generate. Now if it doesn't generate, what you need to do is just cycle between. So just click to make either of this primary until it makes it or rather it generates. Okay, so you can see I have an error. It sometimes has a hard time trying to calculate, so switching in between will help you to generate that connection properly. So we're going to do the same thing as well in this other direction. So while holding down that current connection, I can just type CS, which is create similar. So I'm just going to select those 4 and then press enter, then wait for it to generate. There we go, you can see it's done that properly. So we'll do the same thing as well over here. So hold down control key, now press enter. Okay, so you can see in this case it's not generated, so I'm just going to switch or toggle through until it brings it. There we go. All right, just okay. The last one here. All right, just going to toggle through. There we go. All right, so we've braced them, and now we're going to add the braces between the rafters and the columns. So where we have them here. So to see properly, I'll just select this column and this brace here. I'll just isolate them. So just coming over here to connection, I'll switch here to the gusset plates at one diagonal. I'll select this column, select this, and then press enter, and you can see how it's being generated. So I'm just going to reset this isolation, and I'm going to place it at the other direction. So just coming back here into connection, hold down the column, hold down the brace, press enter. There we go. Just going to pan or orbit around. I'll type CS, press enter. See it's being generated. CS again, press enter. Great. Now we're going to do the same thing for the rafters. So just going to come click on connection. Gusset plates at one diagonal, so I'll hold down the control key, select the brace here, and I have to select the rafter, not the column. So select the rafter. If you press enter, you can see how it's being generated. That's what we want. I'll do the same thing over here as well. There we go. Alright, you can see how it's been placed. We'll place another one here. So back to the connection. Holding down the control key, press enter. Wait for that to generate. There we go. Just press enter again. You want to make sure you don't select the wrong members while doing this. Alright, great. So while that's selected, if I orbit around, you can see it has been placed correctly there. And let's go over here to this region. You can see where we placed the apex hunch connection. Now if we go ahead and model the connection between the rafter and the brace, now you see they don't clash with each other, especially at where we have the plates. You can see that's been done. And let's place one more here. Alright, great. So we've placed the brace connections there, and we want to place them on this side as well. We have two more over here. Just create similar. That's been done there. All right. Now the reason why I don't want to mirror is that there's kind of like some complexities with mirror, especially if they're not exactly on the same plane. So I could select the connections and mirror them, but more often than not, it might not work out. So once you do it once and you copy all the way down, it's much easier actually. So just going to do them like this. All right, great. That's one there, and this one here. There we go. Now we're going to load the pulling connection. So I come back here to connection, and we don't have it, my bad. So I'm going to come and open the connection library again. I'll filter it to see miscellaneous connection. Well, not miscellaneous, actually tertiary and cold formed. You see it under this category. If I scroll down here, I would see this tertiary connection, and you see another one called two tertiaries with both. So I hold down the control key. I want to use these two. I'll add them in and then click OK. So I'll use this particular pulling as an example. So if I come to connection, I'm just going to go ahead and switch here to the tertiary connection type. I'll hold down the control key, select the rafter, select the pulling, and then press enter. You can see it automatically extends all the way down there, and just like I said earlier on, and that is what is connecting the pulling to the rafter. Then for the other one, where we have the double, we're going to come here and click on connection. We'll switch this to two tertiaries with bolts. So we hold down the control key, select the first pulling, select the second pulling, then select the rafter, then press enter. So for this one to work, you need 3 inputs, so 2 of the pullings and then 1 rafter. While the first just needs 1 pulling and a rafter. As you can see, if you select this here, this has to be the primary direction. If you switch it, for instance, to this direction, it's just not going to work, or it's going to get confused. So this is the right direction. And yeah, we've modeled the pulling connection. So I want this one that is here to match the one that's here. Although we're not detailing, just to make it look a bit neater than it looks, I'm just going to click on this one, and we're going to come over here to the properties, override by instance, click on edit, wait for that to load up. All right, so we're just doing a bit of detailing here. We're going to increase the both gauge lines. So set this here to 75. All right, 75, that is good. I'll set this intermediate distance here. This is the distance here, 75 as well. There we go. and then I also want to set the distance for this one here to, let's see, just want it to be a bit above here, so I'll set this here to 75 also. All right, great. So now if you look at it, it matches the one that we have here. The only difference is that this particular bolt assembly is inverted here, whereas this one here, it's in the other direction. So I can just press tab key, select that bolt assembly, and just invert that instance of it, so it goes to the other direction. Now we're not detailing, just kind of like want to make everything look the same for the presentation. Now we have to place the connection between the girts and columns. I'm going to open the west elevation here. I'm going to do one here, and the others we could just copy, and that'll be a simple direct bolt, and we're not going to be using a connection, we're just going to be using bolts. So I'll come to the steel tab here, and we're going to be using a bolt. But before we do that, I want to model some lines that will act as construction or guides for us. I'll switch this to define level detail first, so we can see all the existing connections better. I'll probably use this one on top here, so it makes it easier for me to snap. So this, and I'm just going to bring up my detail line tool, that is DL, and I'm just going to draw a line from here to here. All right, I'll draw another line from here to here, one from here to here, then a one from here to here, one from here to here, one from here to here. We're not really using all the lines, we just want to find the center. All right, great, there we go. And then just one here. So this intersections is where we're going to have in our bolts. All right, so I'll click on bolts here, and I need to select the elements that are going to be bolted together. So I'll first of all select the girts here, so I'll select this, then I'll hold down my control key and select this one here, then press enter, and now I have to select the face at which they'll be connected by. So I'll select the face of this girts. There we go. So you can see the two elements that are going to be connected. You can see every other element is grayed out. So inside here, I'm just going to create a simple rectangle. So this rectangle here, I'll still modify it later on. So just create a single rectangle where we want our bolts to be. So I want them to be here, and just click on modify, select this line, move it here. There we go, and I'll click on finish. All right, great. So this is going to be our bolt assembly. So we just want to have two bolts here, and I would come while the bolt assembly is highlighted or selected. I'll change the numbers on the second side here to 0 and click on apply, or rather, sorry, 1. It's meant to be 1. All right, so we just have one row instead of two rows. There we go. And I want them to be placed directly at the center. Call me a perfectionist, but I believe this is how it's meant to be done. So I'll switch this visual style here to wireframe. And the reason for that is that so I can select the center of the bolts here. So I'm just going to use my move tool, MV. Yeah, so this is the center gauge line of the bolts. So select this point, then move it to the center. There we go. All right, great. So I can switch this back here to hidden line, and I can go ahead and copy the rest. And I'm going to do the same thing as well in this direction, but for this I'm just going to create another bolt gauge here, because when we created this it was just between two elements, but for this we want to adjust it for 3 elements here. Okay, so I could just go ahead and select one of the detail lines that I already have here. I'll just type SV to select all of them. I have 9 lines in total. I'm just going to copy them, CO, from this base point here, then just pan all the way to this point here. There we go. Just press escape, and we do exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to come back here to the steel tab, click on bolts. Now I'll select this girts first, hold down the control key, select this, then select the column, then press enter. Then I'll select the face at which I want to place them on, which could be any of these girts faces here. So I'll select this girts face. There we go. Create my rectangle tool, just over here, click on finish. There we go. Change the numbers of rows to 1. All right, just going to quickly switch this here to wireframe. Then just move this to this point. All right, great. So just can switch this back here to hidden line. And if I go to the 3D view, we should be able to see what we just did. So we're looking at that due south, so that should be around here. There we go. So we can see this is the first bolt here, and this is the second bolt. If you did everything correct, and I mean correctly, if for instance I select this column here, I hold down the control key, select this column, I'm just going to isolate them, you'll be able to see the holes inside the element. So that means they are actually connected properly. But if you just copy it, for instance, from here to here, you might notice maybe just one hole, the other hole is not there. So all these small details are very important. I'm going to go ahead and select the bolts here, assembly. So I'll select this one here, then I'll select this one while holding down my control key. I'll go to the west view here, and I'm going to copy them. CO for copy. So I'll copy them from the edge of this wall girts. Okay, just going to make a copy in this direction. There we go, and you can see they automatically creates that connection between them. All right, so just going to do that here. We have 5 more, I believe. Place one here, place one here, we're going to place one here. Let's pan up a bit. We have 2 more. Place one here, and I'll place one here. All right, great. So just want to come back here to the 3D view because we want to be sure that all those connections are done properly. I'll just isolate this column. You can see those holes have been inserted into that profile. All right, great. So let's go ahead and copy the rest. So what I'll do here is that I can select one of those bolts here. Just hold down the tab key until I select it. And I'm going to hold down control key and select the remaining ones on this line. We should have 7 in total. Okay. All right, we have 7 of them. So I'm just going to copy them. CO for copy. And I can copy from this base point, that is the stop column. So I copy one here. Okay, just going to copy the next one here. All right, great. And for the last one, what I'll do is that I would just copy these ones here because the way they were created were a bit different. So just select this. All right, and then just copy. So I'll copy from this column base points all the way down here. All right, it's great. Let's go to the 3D view. You can see that connection has been reflected here as well. Now we got to mirror the bolts to the other Girts side here. So what I can do is come and click on the front view in the 3D view here. I want to make sure we don't select bolts from other connections, so I'm just going to make a selection like this all the way to this point here. We selected multiple elements, so I can click on the filter button here and then uncheck what I don't need. So I need the bolts and I need the holes, so I don't need the Girts themselves. So I click on apply, click OK, and I'm going to go to the south or north view with that selection. And then I just go ahead and mirror using the mirror draw axis tool. Then I just mirror to the other direction. All right, just got to wait while it's calculating and providing those bolts in the other direction. If you do have warnings, it means that it didn't identify them at equal spacing between each other, so you might want to check that. All right, good. So that's been done. So if I go to the 3D view now and I just orbit around, you can see the new bolts have been placed. So just to be sure, I'll just isolate this column, and you can see the holes are there as well. So that means that bless me, sorry, the bolts and the connections have been placed correctly. So what we want to do now is copy the Purlin connection. So I'll just go over here and select this, and we have two of them. There's a double-seated one and the single tertiary. And then if I come in the 3D view, in the south view, I can copy from the base point. So if I type CO for copy, I can copy from this base point, then try and place it. All right, great. So this is an issue that you might often encounter, when trying to place connections on Purlins, especially if you follow through with this tutorial. You would realize, or rather you remember, earlier on when we modeled or mirrored the Purlins in this direction, we flipped the structural framing end. So Revit does have a hard time trying to copy Purlins with members that have been flipped by their end. So that's kind of like a tip that I got from experience using the software. So ideally, a good way to go about it is to model the Purlin connections from the ends that didn't have the flipped structural framing end. So I'll select this one here, that is the two tertiaries with bolts, that one there. I'll go to the other end here, then I'll just type CS, select similar, select this, select this, select this, and then press enter. There we go. Then likewise as well for this, then I'll type CS, then just select this, and press enter. Of course, we have to redetail this. I'll just go back here and back to detailed parameters. Just going to change some of the settings. Here we have 75. Here we have 75 as well. This will change to 75. And this as well we change to 75, just to match the original settings. All right, great. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the ones that we have here, those two. Then just delete them. There we go. Then I will work with these two over here. So I'll select these two connections. You can go to the south view to see them. And in case you can't see the connections, just go ahead and change it here to fine. And then we're changing this to hidden line so we can see the connections properly. So just going to select the two connections again. Come back to the south view. CO for copy. Come and select this base point. And I'm just going to copy the connections. All right, there we go. So we have those connections there. If I go to the 3D view, we can see those connections have been placed ideally. So I'm just going to go ahead and select an instance of one and an instance of another one here. Then I'll type SV to select everything that is visible in view. Once I've done that, I'll go to the south view. Then just go ahead and mirror along this axis. I'm just going to wait for that to populate. And there we go. You can see they have been placed in the other direction. All right. So if we want to populate it for the rest, all we need to do is just select this, then make a copy to the other rafters. And then for the end over here, we'll just making a copy of this type all the way to the end. Once we're done with the tertiary connections, the pooling connections, we're going to copy the rest of the connections. So the apex launch connections, the knee frames, the base plates as well. So let's start with those. So I'll select this. I'll hold down the control key, select one of the knee frame, and then I select the base plates. I can then just type there SV to select all visible in view. Then I can go to my west or east elevation. So I'll just open up my west elevation. All right, with those selected, you can see these are where they are selected from. If you can't see the connections again, make sure you change it here to fine level detail. So just going to type in my shortcut for copy, CO. I'll copy from this base point all the way down here. There we go. Just press my escape key, and you can see once it's done calculating, just come to the 3D view. You can see all the new generated connections, just how we want it. So the last would be our brace connections. So I'll select one of them. That's the gusset plate one as diagonal. And I select an instance of the 4 diagonal middle gusset plates. So I'll just hold down control key and select one instance of both. I'll just type here SV to select all visible in view. I should have 20 of them in total. Okay, so I'm going to copy them only to these 2 spans here. So going back here to the west view, you see where we have them here already. Just type here CO again. Then I'll copy from this base point. Then I'll move it all the way to this other span here. There we go. Just press escape. I'm going to go back to my 3D view. And now you can see those connections have been placed. Alright, great. Now let's quickly clean up the 3D view for presentation. What I'll do is I'll select an instance of the level. Then I'll select an instance of the grid line. Then I'll type SV. Then I'm just going to go ahead and hide all of them in view. I can either right click and hide in view or use the shortcut EH. To finish up our modeling, we're just going to add a foundation to our stop column. To do that, I'll go to the level 0 view and I'll come to the structures tab and I'll click on isolated foundation type here. I'm going to go ahead and select a suitable foundation type. So where we have 2 foundation types available in this project, I'll just use the 1812450 for this instance, but I'll change the structural material here to match the same material of the stop column we have earlier. So just going to click on that 3 dots icon to open the material browser. And I'm just going to search here for the C3037. There we go. And click OK. Alright. I'm going to click on Add Columns for the modeling. And then make a selection of all the columns visible in the project. Then I'm just going to go ahead and click on Finish. Alright, so once I'm done, I'll just press escape. If I come to the 3D view, you can see all those columns have been placed. Though we have an issue here, which seems that they didn't get the material. So that's a mistake with the modeling. I'm just going to go ahead and type SV. Then with all of them selected, I'll change the material all at once. I'll just go over here again, C30/37, and I click OK. Alright, great. So now I have changed the material for all the footings. To add a small and final touch here to our presentation, I'm just going to go ahead and change this visual style here to shaded. Once I do that as well, I'll come back and then go to graphic display options. I'll come over here under lighting, or not lighting rather, just come in here under shadows. Then I'll turn on my ambient shadows, click on apply, just to give it a more refined look. There we go. And that's how you model a portal frame in Revit. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new content, and we look forward to seeing you in our next videos.